Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Real Tea. I am so happy to see each and every one of you, wherever you are tonight, wherever you are. So glad. You know, the Real Tea is where we truly educate yes, and even you. I am your girl, Contrice, from the Tea with the Tea, coming to you each and every Tuesday. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with that good game for your brain. Now, I'm so glad you decided to join us on tonight. Not only do we have tea, but also brought that comfort for your soul. The Real Tea is presenting a woman her intention to persuade the world by sharing heart-wrenching stories right here and right now. The love has just began to pour. So you guys get ready, get set. We're coming into your homes, your cars, wherever you are tonight. We have something in store for you now. I need everybody under the sound of my voice. Y'all know what to do. Do something for me. Grab a pen and a paper because she might have something to teach you. Now, my guest tonight, she came to spill the tea. And guess what? I'm here to soak it all up. Now, you guys remember, sharing, it's caring. Now, if you're viewing through the Facebook Real Tea page, please like, share, and subscribe. Feel free. And if you're viewing through the Real Tea YouTube channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And each time the Real Tea begins to brew more tea, you'll receive those notifications that you can join who? Your girl Trees for Tea on Tuesday or any day on the replay. We got you. We got you. You know this already. Now, the Real Tea also has an announcement to make. Now, the Real Tea can be also heard on Anchor Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Oh yeah, we showing out. We showing out. The Real Tea going somewhere. It's what I have 4 other platforms. They're just coming out just now. So next week we'll let you know where those are. So if you don't want to look at me, not that I'm too bad to look at, huh? But anyway, if you don't want to look at me, you definitely can turn it up. Turn up the volume because we be on. Yes. And now for our tea for the week. And you guys know I'm talking about the tea you drink, right? Today, y'all not gonna believe this, but I have a tea called Horchatas Aguas Frescas. Listen, it's a Spanish tea. It didn't even have a little tag on it. You know, I'm used to the little tag. The tag wasn't even there. But guess what? The tea is out of sight. Spanish freshwater aquas. It's a Spanish tea. Now it's a Latin. It's like traditional and Latin American drink. It's a refreshing beverage. It's sweetened with 100% pure cane sugar and absolutely no artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors. Each sip is a sure delight. I couldn't believe it myself. Now, if you want to have your own aguas frescas, you definitely can find it where? Y'all know where I found the tea. Walmart, believe it or not, yes, they have that. It's also made by Lipton, so it's an accessible tea. You mix water, a half a cup of the tea mix, and also add milk and take it and stir it and steep it. And when I tell you it's delicious, it is absolutely delicious. Now, there are some benefits to drinking this tea as well. It is said that it's rich in fiber, a substitute for lactose intolerance, and it's also rich in arginine. Now, arginine is some fraction of amino acids that's used in biosynthesis or proteins. Now, it can be used as to treat heart disease, for arterial blockage, blood clots, platelet clumping, increased blood flow through your coronary arteries. Now, for more information regarding horchata, please visit drhealthbenefits.com. You can go right there and it will definitely tell you everything that you need to know about the tea. But I'm going to go ahead and just enjoy mine tonight. You guys know I have my tea and I keep my tea, and I certainly hope you have yours. Now, we're going to take a glimpse of our featured business of the week. Now, listen, if you guys are looking to have your business featured on our show, the Real Tea do not mind supporting. please email jointrees4t@gmail.com. Now you guys know you send me your pictures and my producer will put everything else together. We'll get you a commercial together if you don't have one. Trust me. Please include the name of your business, anything associated with your business, and we'll be pleased to help you. Now, we'll be right back after these messages from A Taste of Soul. You guys enjoy. Yay! I never hungry. And I saw Taste of Soul. I'm starving. Y'all, that food looks amazing. Taste of Soul is right out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And every time I go to Milwaukee, I stop at Taste of Soul. Them boys know they have me already together, honey. They have some, and I'm telling you, it looks as good as it tastes as good as it looks, should I say. Excellent, delicious. But anyway, you guys, the moment we've all been waiting for. Now, our guest tonight strikes as fearlessly talented, above and beyond reproach. And when she picks up a pen and a paper, the saga begins to speak into the life of what then becomes the reader. Her work speaks for itself. A novelist who single-handedly have taken the hearts and minds through a zone of great storytelling. Whether fact or fiction, fiction or fact, the truth remains that the lady is pure talented at her finest. And she is here tonight, you guys. You guys give a warm tea time welcome to Miss Denise Turney.
Oh my goodness, what a welcome. I'm sitting back there from the Taste of Soul to the music to the introduction. I'm like, who is she talking about? Who is she talking about? Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. What a blessing to be here. Happy to be here with you and all of the it's tea time. So it's just
Yes.
I am just happy to be here with you and all your viewers and listeners, and so glad to see your platform. As you said, it's always good to hear, people growing. Your platform is growing. So
Yes.
congratulations
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you. I tell you, it's been a journey, but yes, it's a blessing, to be able to spread that good word, and I get to interact with lots of people such as yourself, and
Oh,
just
well, thank you.
honored to have you here today. Definitely,
Well,
yes,
thank you.
ma'am. Yes. So look, we're gonna get right into it because I know my listeners are, I do a lot of advertising beforehand. So
Okay.
So
Okay.
I know they're excited to hear from you. But so just before I even get started, because I don't really like to just jump into those questions, but just tell my viewers about yourself.
Oh well, I first of all, again, I appreciate the opportunity and thank you for being here. Pre-COVID, I have done a fair share, Zoom, where I know this is a different virtual platform, but I've done so many of these. And when I started out in August of 1998, when I came out with my first novel, Portia, that's when I really started hitting the radio. And I would go through Gabby Press, which is retired this year, but they were around for 50 years. And I did so many radio interviews. And the good thing was I could just be on my phone and just all over the country. And then when I would go out on the
Yes.
road, people would say, oh, I heard you on such and such, or I saw you in such and such a magazine. So to go back even earlier than that for me to introduce myself to your viewers and your listeners, I started writing when I was 10 years old. And the way it came to me, I love to to read. I was a voracious reader. I read anywhere from 30 to 50 books a week. And when I think back on that, I was like, oh my God, I really did read a lot of books. If you ask me what I want for my birthday, I'll tell you books. If you ask me what I wanted for Christmas, I would tell you books. And I love Barbie dolls, but I love the books. I could go to the library and spend a whole. And to me, I thought everybody did this kind of stuff. I didn't know as a kid that it was unusual to spend that much time in the library, that much time at the bookstore reading that many books. So when I was 10, my sister comes running up the steps, and she's actually on the cover of uh, Long Walk Up. This is my sister, and
Oh,
she was probably about this age. It's one of my top sellers right now. I can tell
okay.
you a little bit more about Long Walk Up later, but my sister comes running up the steps. I was 10, she was about 8, and she said, "Look what I found in the library." And I was surprised that she found a book back then. I tell people there are a lot of African American books out now. Back when I was in the 70s growing up, there were hardly any at all. And you didn't see black people on TV hardly, with no magazines. It was hardly any books. So I was like, how did she find a book with a black person that I didn't find? Because I was the one going through the library and not her. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
book of poetry by Gwendolyn Brooks. So my sister
Mm-hmm.
said, she said, dropped it on the bed. She said, I'm going back outside to play. To this day, I think this is the only reason she brought this book home, because she never read it that I know. So I picked the
Mm-hmm.
book up and I read it. It was a book of poetry by Gwendolyn Brooks. And I preface it with how many books I read. This book had an effect on me no other book I had ever read had before. And it
Mm-hmm.
just came alive. It was like I was in this zone. I can't explain it. And I said, oh my God, it's like I'm Ruby. And oh my God, it's like this person. And I didn't want this book to end. And so when it finished, lay it down on the bed. I'm 10 years old. And this feeling came over me. I never had a feeling like that. And I went, oh, I'm a writer. And I started writing. And I started on my
Wow.
first novel when I was 12. I started my first novel when I was 12, and I finished it when I was 19. But the first book that I ever published, and this has a family picture on it as well. This is the only other book I have that has a family picture. And this is Portia. This came out in August of
Mm-hmm.
1998. It's an inspirational story about a woman dealing with breast cancer. She's a successful defense attorney living in Chicago, Illinois, where Gwendolyn Brooks was from. And I
Okay.
didn't do it for that reason, but so Portia is it's inspired people, and I tell a story about where when I would hit the road. A woman came up to me and said, "Oh, I got that book for my mother. My mother was in the hospital and she was not doing good with breast cancer, and she was going to just throw in the towel. And she read Portia and she said, 'I want to live.'" And that really, really, that type of feedback from a reader, it really, really touches my heart when I run into readers who do those types of things. Well, when Portia came out, I went out to Gwendolyn Brooks. Could you please write the foreword or put something in here? You really are the reason that in large part, that your work inspired me to start writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the good Lord. And she said, I don't have time. She said, I'm working on my editor's pressing me. I'm working on some poetry and I've got to get this done to get my new poetry book out. But she wrote me a personal handwritten note that I still have and she said, best wishes with Portia. And I said, oh
Oh,
my goodness, you talk about going a full circle.
yes.
Oh my God. I said, what a blessing, what a blessing. So I still have that. Gwendolyn Brooks, I mean, she's a poet laureate, Chicago's poet. She is just wasn't amazing. She's since joined the Ancestors, but she was amazing. Before that, it's just such a blessing to have had a handwritten note from her saying best
Uh-huh.
wishes. So that was my first one. Then I came out with, I think it was Love Has Many Faces. Love Has Many Faces is a murder mystery set
Mm.
in Manhattan, New York. And there's a actress. She was really a A-list actress, but she was bold and brazen, and she really ticked a lot of powers that be off in Hollywood. So
Mm-hmm.
the money's not coming in. She's not getting those big roles anymore. She puts an ad out in the paper, and the up and coming playwright Robin answers her ad, and they room together, and there are nothing alike, but they build this awesome, amazing friendship. But something
Mm.
from one of their fathers' past comes back to haunt them. Something from one of their fathers' past. And then my most recent, I've had 8 books that I've published. this is my only. Well, I'll talk about Love Pour Over Me last. I'm not going to talk
Mhm.
about all my books, but this is my first juvenile book. And going back to my kid days, Rosetta the Talent Show Queen. Rosetta
Okay.
played going to Harriet Tubman School. It's a multicultural school in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a work of fiction, but she is something. And I grew up liking to read Pippi Longstocking books. I say Rosetta is kind of like that Pippi Longstocking. She is
Okay.
just bold, confident, mischievous, creative, always up to something. So she's got something going on for the talent show. And her arch nemesis is like the top student in the school. She thinks she's the teacher's favorite. Rosetta just wants to outdo her any kind of way
Mhm.
she can. So
Okay.
constantly competing. Oh, just see what Miss Rosetta. I tell people, let your kids see what Rosetta is up to at the talent show. The biggest event in the school. The last one
Mhm.
I'll talk about uh, for now is this is the Love Pours. This is a story. Raymond and Brenda, they truly do love each other. They are meant. I like so you hear the term soulmates. I'm like, I'm not a person. I don't believe in fairy tales, and I'm not so much of a romantic, but
Mhm.
they belong together. They do, and his father, his mother left when he was 2, and he's raised by a father who has untreated alcoholism, and he's
Mhm.
abusive to Raymond. So it leaves scars on him. So when he goes away to college, Raymond is a track and field standout. He's
Okay.
Olympics all the way, and he's also academically very very talented. But his father recognizes nothing that he does. He just is there. Would not give him a compliment if he paid him for it. So
Wow.
but when he goes to college, that's where he meets Brenda. And he
Mm.
also meets 4 awesome friends. But one of his friends, the first night at college in Pennsylvania, Raymond witnesses a murder. He has nothing to do with it. He's brand new in the town. And I tell people, what would you do if you just went to a brand new town and you saw something that you're like, oh my God, you have nothing to do with it. You're new in town. But one of his friends is involved. He hasn't met this friend yet. They become best friends. And one of his friends goes on to do very well in the NFL, and they're from all over. One of his friends from Italy. There are these 5 guy friends who are friends for life. And what would
Mm.
you do if the finger's starting to point at one of your best friends? What would you do? You gotta wonder what would you do? And then Brenda
Yeah.
and Raymond, the twists and turns that they go through, but they truly are meant to be together. But the question I ask people is love truly enough?
Right.
Is it truly
Oh,
enough? Yeah.
you have knocked me off my socks once more and again. While I listened to you just a few nights ago, you were reading, doing some storytelling, and it was from Love Pours.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that book and that story has me like a TV show. Can't wait to get my book because I need to know what is going on here. I mean, the way you tell the story, I felt like I was in the house with Raymond when his dad had missed his graduation. I tell you now, I was listening.
I
And
can
I
see
was
you
like,
were.
oh, this story
Yeah.
sounds because you know what? To be honest with you, everybody it's like something that anybody could be going through, or
Hmm.
anybody, or everybody has that one somebody in their family, or somebody that could be going through that, because I'm telling you, I don't know Raymond, don't know what he looked like, don't know what his daddy looked like, but I know what they look like in my mind. In my mind, they both look like something. You know what I mean? And I
Oh,
just felt like I was there. You know what I mean? When the vomit was coming from the mouth, just every
yeah.
scene. You know what I mean? And it really, really put me there, physically. Mental, physically, kind of. You know what I mean? In my mind, I was like, wow. And it was right before I got ready to go to bed. And I promise you, when I got in the bed, I still was thinking about that scene. Like,
Yeah.
I sit up there and miss the graduation, mad at this boy here. I ain't gonna tell the story. I'm gonna let somebody read the book. I ain't gonna tell y'all. But I'll tell you that is really, really a good story. You are
Well,
absolutely
I
positively talented.
oh,
You are. You're
Well,
kind of
I
sweet.
thank you. I thank you so much. I will tell you that a lot of readers, when I first started Love Pour Over Me, and I was in my writer's critique group, you don't know how many readers they just hated his father. And this is something that it's happened with Love Has Many Faces. As a writer, this is something I've learned. I've learned things when I get feedback from readers. In Love Has Many Faces, they hate Leslie. That shocked me. And people say she did not suffer enough. I was really shocked to hear readers say that.
Yeah.
People we have so much emotion, not
Mm-hmm.
just for a character, but life itself, where you think somebody should be punished and punished and punished. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
with Love Over Me, they called his Raymond's father Malcolm, oh, every cuss word you can imagine. As the part you read was I read on the YouTube was just a small part, but when people read through the early parts of it, they just like I can't stand that man. And then some people they say I went through something similar to what Raymond went through with my parent who was maybe sick with alcoholism or drug
Mm-hmm.
addiction or whatever, and they're like I really did not like his father, but in the end, if I tell people keep reading the story, I like to write stories where you can see how people change and how there's no way to live in this world if you live long enough and not to change. I don't care how
Oh
mean
yeah.
you are
Oh
or
yeah.
how kind. Eventually, things that you're gonna start to. I'm not gonna say you're gonna become a sweetheart, but you will start to change. And I always ask readers when you get to the end of the story, do you feel differently about the father in any way? Because he does go through a lot, and he was the one who stayed there for Raymond. That's what makes the story even complicated. When his mother left when he was two, and you can understand when you meet Malcolm why the mother didn't stay, but he stayed. He did, and he tells Malcolm that when he's upset. He
Yeah.
tells Raymond, who stayed? Who took care of you? Who
Yeah.
stayed there with you? So it is a
Absolutely.
complicated father-son relationship, as a lot of father-son relationships are, and a lot of mother-daughter relationships are very, very complicated. And our childhoods do follow us wherever we go.
Mm-hmm.
And when we meet different people, they meet these other characters in our lives that they really haven't met yet, like
Mm-hmm.
grandma and they meet all these people. They're in
Yeah.
us. They're in
Yeah.
us, and so yeah, love Pour for me. But Brenda and Raymond is a true love story. It's a complicated story, but a love story. And there's no violence. There's no domestic violence or any of that in the story. But it is a true love story.
Yeah.
Complicated though.
Yeah. It's just like how many people watch The Color Purple, and I'm guilty of this too. I know Danny Glover was acting, but did I like Danny Glover for a long time? Absolutely not. Danny, if you come across this, I like you. I don't want to be sued, but I did not like Danny Glover for a
Oh
long time.
yeah.
I'm just telling you, I didn't. I felt like, oh my goodness, like I'll be like, I don't even want to watch that. You know what I mean? Because I felt, but then that's how it happens in
Hmm.
true life. In true life, people take an opinion or something that you may have done when you were younger, and then encounter a person and they've already gathered that opinion, they've already gathered that in their mind about that person. So it holds true even for the
Hmm.
stories, for the stories that you write, and something that we may see on television. It's the truth. It happens that way. And you're absolutely correct. Now, me on the other hand, I am this kind of person and reader. I did not dislike him right away.
Oh,
Because just
interesting.
I went off, I was listening, because on the flip side of the coin, and this is in reality. I'm just speaking totally reality here. Everybody has their struggle, and you don't know why.
That's true.
You don't know why this person is doing this. You don't know why this person's behaving this way. You don't know where they've been. It's easy for someone to say where someone has been, or think they know, or have just gathered an opinion. So yeah, that happens. That happens. I can imagine. I can see somebody not liking him just based off of, because that story was told so clear. I mean, it was like somebody frying bacon you over the phone and you could smell it. You know what I mean? Kind of like that. I was like, I don't know these people. I'm like, I don't know
Oh,
Raymond. I don't know him, you know. But
women.
yeah, I could put myself in his shoes, both of them. You know what I mean? Like him being disappointed, or
Yeah.
whatever, or him knowing what he was battling. So man, that I can't wait. I can't wait I can't wait to get
Oh,
down to the nitty gritty. Yes, I'm excited
what?
about
Well,
your work.
I,
I really
I
am.
hope you do. I will tell you that women love Raymond. I have had women tell me I wish every guy was like Raymond. And
Yeah.
he did have a rough childhood, and he is wounded. And you read the story, you'll see that. But women love him. They love
Oh
him.
yeah, them the best vessels. I already know. Oh, them the good ones, honey. That done been through something. Yeah, them the good ones. I to tell those young girls about this. Them the good ones. But nonetheless, now, now I was going to ask you, how did you become a writer? But I already know. You just told me the story of how you became the writer and your
Yeah.
inspiration,
Yeah.
and that was a great that's a great thing. Some things are just clearly our inspirations, and things just, I don't think that things happen for no reason at all. I was talking to another author, and I told him, I have been writing a book for some time. I mean, write a book, that is some serious stuff. I have a book of poetry, which is funny
Okay.
while you were talking about the lady. I have a book of poetry that I am still working on right now. But nonetheless, that's a job. I tip my hat off to you.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
tip my
thank
hat
you.
off to you. I'm almost 50. I don't want to be 60 by the time the book come out. I don't. I want to be, I want to let the book out. No.
And you have
But
your platform. You have your platform as
I
well.
do. I do.
Yes.
I do. I do. And it's awesome. It's awesome. It's an awesome feeling to be
You can
able
read
to
some of your
accomplish it. Yes.
yes. You can read some of your poetry and get people interested. You know what? I don't read erotica, but Zane, I know the author Zane. She's been on New
Mhm.
York Times bestseller list many times. That's how she got started. She said she didn't know if people would be interested in her novel when she first came out. And I'm going back like the late '90s when Zane came out, but
Uh-huh.
her books took off. She would just put like a chapter up just to see if people
I'm
started
a
saying,
Zane
"Oh,
fan.
when are you coming out with the next chapter? When are you going to come out?" So she knew there was that interest, but her books just went way. I mean, they just took off, and yeah, you had this platform to read a. You could close
Yes.
with a poem every night or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, look at you coming with the tea. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Give me them good
Yeah.
ideas. I'm telling you, that's awesome. Zane is I am a Zane fan actually. And
Okay.
I promise you that was my goal. I said one of these days I'm gonna get the interview, Miss Zane.
There you go.
I'm gonna do it. But nonetheless, it's about you tonight. I'm
Oh,
telling you. I'm serious. I love Zane, but I'm telling you, you are be you. I came across her. I said, this lady is out of sight. I
oh,
love her.
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Now, not only are you a novelist, but you are a radio host of Off the Shelf. How do you now? This is a two-part question. I want to know about Off the Shelf. Tell my viewers a little bit more about it, but how do you balance the two? Because I think that's an issue that even myself is having, balancing the two.
Ah, you have done your homework. Now I know when I do when I get ready to do my I was watching the start of the show. I'm like, she has done her homework.
Yeah.
Um, and so I thank you for that. But off the shelf, just to tell you a little bit about it before I go into how I balance the two, and it's stuff I've learned over the years. But off the shelf's been on the air about 16 years. I started it on Rainbow Soul, and I want to tell you how I got started with off the shelf. I
Mhm.
never thought I would do a radio show. I was when Portia came out, I was doing interviews all over the country on the radio. And so different radio stations, not podcasts, because podcasting wasn't as big, I don't think. I was on actual radios you hear when you're driving in your car or whatever, radio
Mhm.
stations. And so I was I reached out to a station, either general manager or station owner for Rainbow Soul. His name was Neil Blake, and he's out of New York. And I said, I'd love to be on Rainbow Soul. And I always told him the benefits. Of course, it deals with breast cancer, inspirational, help anybody who's dealing with a health challenge or just any challenge in life. It can help inspire and empower your listeners. And so he comes back to me and says, because I always tell the benefit of being on the show. So he came back and said, why don't you just start your own radio show? I had never
Mhm.
thought of that. Ever. He asked me that, and I said, I can't. I'm thinking to myself, I can't do a radio show. He said, yes, you can. It's easy. He said, I will help you. And I got started on Rainbow Soul. Neil Blake, he played the smoothest jazz. Oh my goodness. And he had other talk show hosts on there. I think now he does his through Blog Talk Radio, but his background is television. He's done a lot of television, and
Oh
so that's how
wow.
I got started. And then I moved over from Rainbow Soul to Blog Talk Radio. But I've interviewed oh my goodness! If I do my newsletter, the Book Lovers Having, which people could subscribe to for free through my website, which is chistel.com,
Mhm.
CHISTELL.com. You can subscribe to the Book Lovers Having live, or even check out off the shelf through my website, chistel.com. Anyway, I never thought I would start a newsletter. My web designer I used to have, she said, why don't you start a newsletter and start growing your own email list? That's a tip I give to any entrepreneur, any author. What would you do if Facebook went down? What would you do if Twitter went away? What would you do if LinkedIn or
Mhm.
any of these went away? You need to have your own email list so you can stay in contact with readers just through your own direct email list. I use Constant Contact, but there are a lot of them out there. So I started my own newsletter, and then I was doing it manually. I would print the subscriptions when I keep them in a folder in case somebody said, "Why are you sending me this email? I didn't subscribe." I would send them back. Yes, you did subscribe. You probably just
Mhm.
forgot. But if you don't want to be on, I could take you off. But it has grown and grown and grown. So
Wow.
I didn't think off the shelf, and I've interviewed New York Times best-selling authors. I've been interviewed movie producers, people who
Mhm.
have put movies out, uh, entrepreneurs who have their businesses have multi-million-dollar businesses. I've interviewed people all over the world from so many different backgrounds, award-winning authors. I could just go on and on with all of Frances
Mhm.
Ray. She was on there. She since joined Ancestors. She was the Essence best-selling author, and I think a New York Times. Some of her books were turned into movies on BET. I know I didn't interview him, but Carl Weber, I know him. His movies are now on BET. I'm like, oh my God.
Man, the family
Yes,
business. Yes,
yes. I
absolutely.
know Carl Weber from going way back. Karen
Mhm.
Quintos Miller, Tracy Price Thompson, Zane. I'm going way back with each of them. So it's good to just when I see calls on TV, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can remember when he was just getting
Yeah.
started. Yes,
Yes.
and he always had that business. He started his own bookstore. He always had that business mindset.
Mhm.
So I'm
Mhm.
I'm really happy to see him. But how do I balance it all? I can tell you, I've learned that it really truly do seem to only be 24 hours in a day. So I've had to prioritize things, and I've just learned things as I go. So certain days of the week, I'll focus on certain things. Some days I focus on my blog. That's something else I really encourage an
Yes.
entrepreneur, small business, an author to get a blog. I get hundreds of visitors to my blog a day, hundreds. So some days I'm gonna focus on my blog. I do social media probably 30 minutes, no more than about a 45 hour a day, but I do it every day. And I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, and pretty much those are the big ones I hit regularly because you
Mhm.
can't be on all of them. And then so I prioritize, I do certain things on certain days. And then it's very important as an author, if you want to grow your career, you have to keep writing and publishing new books. I don't care how much one book sells, eventually every book sales will slow down. They may
Mhm.
not stop, but they all will slow down. And some of them will be revitalized, like Ralph Ellis's Invisible Man, some of James
Mhm.
Baldwin's works coming back, Zora Neale Hurston. And she never enjoyed the financial and book sales success that is happening now that she's joined the ancestors. She never got to really experience it. So I always say, do the work because it might not take off till you're gone. But if you don't do the work, then it won't be there for anybody to enjoy.
Exactly. Mhm.
So
Exactly.
prioritize. That's what I do. Set certain days and write on a novel every single day because you have to keep writing and publishing new novels to stay relevant, to stay out there. You just have to. You just have to.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. Like you said, the work might not, come like you might think,
Hmm.
or be as productive as you might think, and then all of a sudden you just never ever know. But if it's not there at all, you never
Exactly.
will know.
That
So
this.
that is absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely I'm correct. I totally agree with you on that, and I think that's in everything that you do. Everything, it's the same as with myself, or I tell it to my children. You have to stay persistent.
Yes.
Persistent, got to be persistent, and you got to keep with consistency. If you just, you
Hmm.
like some singers who just sing a song and they be what they call a one hit wonder. But you just got to keep singing. You got to keep, you got to keep
Yes.
on. You got to keep on doing, what you're supposed to do. And I believe, like you said, something will happen. And so, that's good advice. I thank you for that. Now, is that based off of real life events, like something that really happened?
It's kind of funny that you say that. Looking at your face, it's kind of funny. You know what? When I wrote Portia and Spiral, is a murder mystery set in the 1940s in Memphis, Tennessee, people would swear to me when I would publish a book. They would say, "You lived here." I said, "No, I didn't." And they would say, "Yes, you did, because you know the area too well." I said, "I researched for it." And then Spiral, somebody wrote me and said, "You base this off of a trial that happened in Memphis." And I said, "No, I didn't even know anything about the trial." And I didn't.
Mm.
So I do my research. I keep all my, you just have to. But anyway, what Portia people swore I was from Chicago. They told me, I said, "I'm not from Chicago. I was born in Dayton, Ohio." "No, you're from Chicago." They said, "You know too much about it." I said, "That's just from research. That's some research. I did not live in Chicago." So based on what
Wow.
happened, what inspired Portia, when I was in my early 20s, I was in the Navy and I loved being in the Navy. But when I first went into the MEP station, they said you have a lump in your breast. And they said, but it's not malignant. So get it checked out later. So they kept finding them. So I went to specialists to specialists to specialists. And they just kept telling me, just keep, be aware of it. We think it's just cysts. So
Mhm.
I finally, that is what it was. But I actually went to several different specialists and I was afraid because they said if you get breast cancer in your 20s, it's very aggressive. And I said, I don't think I'm going to live to see 23.
Mm.
I mean, back then they didn't have the treatments and everything that they have now. So I was really concerned. So I started to write letters to my family thinking I wasn't going to be here much longer. And I was like
Oh.
writing to my dad. He raised five of us by himself when my mom passed. And my grandparents, "I love you. Thank you for all you did for me. Thank you. I love the Thanksgivings and the Thanksgivings in Portia." There's a Thanksgiving scene in there. So it started as love letters to my family because I didn't think I was going to be here much longer. And
Oh.
so I said, I took the letters and I turned them into Portia. And
Yes.
that is my top rated novel. And when I go on the road and people will come up to me and they would pick up my books and they ask me what it's about. And I tell them, as soon as I say the word breast cancer, they start backing up. I said, "You can't
Oh.
catch it from reading it. You can't catch it from reading the book." I said, "It's not."
Exactly.
And I told them, I said, "It's not," but it tells you how afraid we are, things like that. But I said, and it's not a depressing story. It's very uplifting. I said, when you finish it, I think you will be inspired and empowered. It's not depressing.
Yeah.
It is very realistic. It is very realistic, though, because I had women who did have breast cancer, and I mean, where they had to have breast removed. They did read it, and it is very realistic. But you won't
Mhm.
be depressed when you finish the story. It's an inspiring story, but realistic. So it is based in part on some real life events that I did experience, and
Mhm.
also some women who helped to tell me with guidance on the story. They told me, like, if you ever had to have your breast cut on, that is a huge fear for a woman to see
Yeah.
yourself like that. They said you have to really bring that out in the story. So there are people who really did go through these things, and my own breast cancer scare that is
Mhm.
realistic. It is realistic, that part
Mhm.
of it. And then they're starting with ladders that I wrote to my family when I was going through a real life experience that turned into the book. So some of the Thanksgiving scenes really are similar to what I went through in my family.
Okay.
So it is, there is some real life to it, but it is a work of fiction and it reads like a memoir, almost like Portia is writing her memoir.
Oh wow, yeah. I just wonder, was it like your diary? I just let us in on the tea. I needed to know. Well, yes, absolutely. Well, yeah, the whole breast cancer thing, um, it has ran rampant. You know, among our women. I have two people in my family who have
Mm.
breast cancer, and that your book will be a gift to them. I want to be able to give it to them too as inspiration
Oh,
too,
bless
you
you.
know, for the both of them. So that's something I definitely have to do immediately. My sister has it, and then
Oh, bless
a
her.
cousin of mine have it, both of them. And so, you know, with the struggles that they've went through, you know, I just kind of sat in the background and just kind of watched and just be as encouraging, you know, as I can as well. But yeah, the breast cancer thing is it's everywhere. It is. I mean, like wildfire, you know, and you
Yeah.
wonder, yeah, and they, you know, there's a cure for almost everything. And I just
Yes.
hope that one day we find a cure for it, because you know, even any kind of cancer, like the cancer is just attacking the children and all, you know. So yeah, but that book, that's great. That's great. That's gonna be in my little basket. I like to make little
You
baskets.
know, and I want to
You
end on that,
know.
on a portion of the cancer note of just saying I've had people in my family who have had it, and some have passed from it, but it focuses on Portia. She is a very loving man in her life. He is just
Mhm.
wonderful. She's coming out of a
Mhm.
bad relationship, and he is there. He is just a good man. But
Yeah.
Portia is a story about family as well, family and love.
Mhm.
And however long we're here, and she doesn't pass away in the story, but however long we're here, isn't that really what matters? The memories of the people you love. It's the love we share with each other. So whether
Mhm.
somebody has a sickness or not, we have to invest in one another, to love one
Yes.
another, and to strengthen and build up family.
Mhm.
Those are the sweet memories.
Yes, it is.
That's where the strength is in family, community. I always tell people, love yourself, love your family, love your
Yes.
community, because that's what a value. That's really where life gets sweet.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. And I think that I watch people, you know, like they bicker with their family and things of that nature, and don't really realize the importance, you know, because at the end of the day, family, that's all you have. You know, a lot of times some the blood don't necessarily make your family too. I've learned that because I have some family. I mean, everybody got strange people in their family. I just know it. I know that I'm not the only person that got an aunt somebody or an uncle
Yeah.
somebody that's a
Hmm.
little bit off. But I'm just saying, you know, at the end of the day, you know, family is very, very utterly important, you know, and we
Yes.
just have to learn how to embrace each other. I mean, I think I'm just a hopeless, not romantic, but I'm a hopeless family love type of person. You know what I mean? I really am. I love my family. I really and truly do. Even if they little, you know, little touched, I still I don't want to say the third thing. My family watches my show, but they
Oh,
all
well,
know
good
who you
for you.
are.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
seriously, they know. But yeah, that is very, very, very important. You know, to thing to keep up. You know, so that the if we just spray, I tell a lot of people sometimes, you know, whatever you have going on, whatever it is, you want to send some positive energy into the
Yes.
atmosphere
Yes.
so that it makes room for what it is you got going on. So, you know,
Yes.
instead of spreading, you know, hate, then you start replacing that with some love and some peace.
Hmm.
and things of that nature, and it'll catch on. It'll catch on. So yeah, those are all great points. Now, tell me, because the love pour over me story, I can't take it. I'm serious. Where you get that from? Like how? what? What was your? Did you just say, you know what? Let me write about this. So what? Where?
Love,
Yeah.
so some of my stories, I literally like Portia came to me through
Mm-hmm.
the ladders. Uh, Long Walk Up came to me in a way no other book has, and I can share that later. But
Mm-hmm.
I will often with my stories just sit down and start writing. And I actually had a story that something I was thinking about. I said I might turn this into a novel. One book I'm working on that'll be out this year, Running Toward Freedom, is
Mm-hmm.
based on something I saw on television. So it can come from so many different ways. But Love Pour Over Me was one of those stories. I just sat down and started writing. And my grandfather would ask me, how in the world do you do that? How do you take a
Mm-hmm.
blank page, there's nothing there, and you create this story? Because Left Over Me is probably about 350 pages. But I just sat down and then I start doing my character sketches, my notes, and I will say Raymond is his age, some things about his personality, some things
Okay.
about mother, because you got to keep it straight when as the story goes on, so you know
Exactly.
who's mother and what she's like, who's father and what they're like, and every character have some strengths and some struggles as well, because
Mm-hmm.
nobody that's how we are, so it's realistic. And then to me it's important, how does each character influence and help shape, how do they influence and help shape each other? They tell you as a writer that you should not have even one sentence or a character or a scene in a book that does not move that whole story forward. It can be a great
Yes.
scene, great dialogue. The same thing with a movie. And you could see actors or you get upset. I did a really good job on that scene. You say, yeah, but it doesn't move the story forward, so we have to take it out. So the same thing as a writer, I've learned it was harder for me early in my career, but now it has to come out. I have to take the scene out, or I need to add something, because it all about the ultimate, the story. And readers are very, very intelligent, and I respect
Mm-hmm.
readers. You want to give a reader a very good experience, because we're exchanging the reader's time for the story that I'm sharing. I want to make sure they walk away saying this was time well spent, and I'm glad I read this story. But Love for Over Me gets very good ratings, and it's a story that you will feel a lot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You will
Yeah.
feel. You will
I,
feel.
I I
You will
can I
feel.
can believe you. I
You will
can
feel a lot of.
believe you just because just the short amount I've heard and listened to, it grabbed my attention, grabbed my, I know I said this earlier, but I really, really mean that I could not wait to sit down with my reading glasses and a bonnet, when I could just be, in the middle of the bed, hubby gone, it's quiet. I could just get all in the rain and then find out what's going on around here. I'm a nosy reader. Got the
I think you
nosy.
will. I think you will love the ending. I will
Yeah.
leave it. I will leave it there. But I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna tell much about the story. But
Yeah,
Raymond
that's
does.
fine.
Raymond
Don't
goes
do
to
it.
yes.
Don't do it. Cause I'm not gonna tell. I'm not gonna tell them neither. I'm not, they're gonna have to do like I do. They're gonna have to get the book and you're gonna have to read. Sorry about that. My husband says that I'm talking. Sorry about that. So tell me this now. How did the long walk up? Now,
Oh,
I think the title itself is amazing. Actually,
oh, thank
it is.
you.
It is them three words. You know what I mean? Sometimes things are little, but they have a very big impact on somebody. So that gives a big impact on my interest, on my mind. So tell me, how did the long walk up come to you? How did that come to you?
This story came to me in a way no other novel I have yet to write has came to me. Kind of similar to when I was 10, and it was revealed to me from my inner self that I was a writer. Long Walk Up. This is my top. This book It just sells, 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 sells. Just
Okay.
sells, 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 sells. Um, Long Walk Up came to me. I was driving to Princeton, New Jersey, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and I got to tell you, I've had my fair share of spiritual experiences. I've had
Mm-hmm.
like at least two visions where, and they've come true. Where I just out of nowhere, I'll get a vision, and
Mm-hmm.
just knowing things that are coming. I've seen things 37, 40 years before it happened. It was revealed to me and it came to pass exactly the way it was told to me. So long walk
Mm-hmm.
up, I'm driving to Princeton, New Jersey, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, in my inner being, not these ears, I tell people, my inner being,
Mm-hmm.
and because I tell people, if you hear something with these ears, you might want to get checked because something could be wrong with your brain
Exactly.
if you hear what these are. So my inner ear. So I'm driving to Princeton, and all of a sudden I was told to write a story about a little girl who had a very, very difficult childhood. It had to be
Mm-hmm.
extremely hard, but she had this glorious, glorious end to her life. So the little girl in Long Walk Up, Mulligan, she is a little girl in Africa. She's 6 years old. I actually saw a TV show with two little kids in real life like this, and I just couldn't imagine it. She's 6 years old. Her father has passed. Her brother and sisters. Her family has gone into like a community in Africa. They call them villages. So they were in
Mm-hmm.
a like in a village where you live in these small homes, but they didn't even live in homes. And when they first
Mm-hmm.
moved in, it was flourishing. Their leader is a very strong, courageous man. The area was flourishing. Animals, vegetation, everything was really going well. And then it comes upon a drought. And we know in life you got to keep moving. You got to keep going because things what once was working may not work all of a sudden. It may just not
Right.
work. And
Mm-hmm.
so her father passed. Then when her mother passes, she has no other bloodline. But in Africa, it's your tribe is like your family. You know, some people still do like the tribal markings, but I call it the community. So Mulligan's 6 and she has a decision to make. She's not like the other kids. There's something in her that is different. Is she going to stay? And Bilka is the leader. He knows something's different about her, and
Mm-hmm.
she decides when her mother's bodies return to the earth or return to the ancestors. Mulligan decides that she is going to take off on her own. She's 6 years old. She doesn't know
Mm-hmm.
anybody else in this whole wide world, and she
Mm-hmm.
takes off up this long hill. And when she gets to the top of the hill, she is so tired, so exhausted, so hungry. She's like, "Did I make a mistake? Should I just turn back and go back where I came?" But she doesn't. Something is guiding her. And so she ends up falling down a hill and into a market. And in Africa, like if you go to Ghana, I don't know if it's the 4K market you hear a lot about. There are
Mm-hmm.
markets in Africa, and she goes down and she in the market and she hears all these voices. Well, she runs into somebody who he and his wife taking children who've been orphaned due to AIDS,
Mm.
and they take her in. But she goes on. I don't want to tell the whole story, but Mulligan becomes Africa's first woman president.
Oh,
Yes,
Mulligan! Look at Mulligan. Yes, I'm getting that one too. It's
yes. She
Mulligan.
becomes
Yes, I like
Africa's
her.
first woman president.
Yes, your
Yes.
brain is. Oh man, you were blessed with that that brain of yours, the imagination. Oh, when they say the mind is a terrible thing to waste, I'm going to always think about you, honey. I'm telling you, if nobody is watching this impressed, I'm telling you, I'm very impressed. I
Oh, well, thank
love
you.
intellectual, intelligent people. That's awesome. That's awesome. But
Well,
I'm
that
telling
that
you,
one came to me. That one came to me. I didn't think that story up. That one
just
came to me
came
while
to
I
you.
was driving, and yeah, and so
Yeah.
I followed it, I obeyed it, and then it became long one. And I was told to keep it within 40 to 50 pages, but I actually made it about nine. It's about 80 or 90. So that part I didn't completely obey. I was told to
Okay.
make it short. A friend of mine who's from Africa who taught at the University of Pennsylvania African Studies. She said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, you got to give her a love interest." I threw that. I
Ah,
threw that in there. That didn't stick to the guidance I received. That was from
right.
somebody else's input. Yeah.
Man, I could talk to you for days on end. I just have one more question for you. I'm telling you, just for
Okay.
days on end. Can you, what advice would you give someone who's waiting for the right time to accomplish something?
Oh, what a great question. This is what I've heard, and I will tell you based on my own experiences in this world, there is no perfect time. There is, and you know what? Well, let me say it this way. Maybe there is a perfect time, but with our minds, we will always say something's not right. With
Mm-hmm.
our minds, we'll always say something is off. Just inside of us, even if it is perfect, we'll say, I don't have enough education. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough
Mm-hmm.
time. They won't accept me. They won't.
Mm-hmm.
They won't respect me. Our own minds will get in the way. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say when you know inside yourself, and I think this is why I tell people it's so big to practice awareness and to be honest with yourself. Be honest
Mm-hmm.
how you feel. Be honest if you're feeling jealous, afraid, apprehensive, hopeful, joyous, angry. Be honest because your emotions can help guide you. Like they call it
Mm-hmm.
emotional guidances. So when you're at peace with something and you're like, I don't feel like there's a lot of conflict in me, I'm at peace with it. Maybe check some things out, then go ahead and start stepping forward. Before I started writing and publishing, I researched the book publishing industry. I researched it. Some people, before
Mm-hmm.
they have kids, they study up on kids. I have a brother who's a pastor, another brother who's a minister. They will not marry people, my brother Clark, unless you go through marital counseling, because he says a lot of people get married, they don't know nothing about budgeting. They don't know nothing about.
Yes.
They
No,
don't know
nothing,
anything.
just jumping in head first, don't know
They
what
have.
they doing. That is true.
So
That
make
is
sure you do
true.
your homework, and it may not be just perfect for you, but just get out there. You always have time to change and to pivot and just get started because you do not want your dreams to be buried inside of you. You don't.
Yes, absolutely. That was the best advice. I mean, I feel like you was talking to my soul. That was the best advice I could have received today. I'm not kidding. Yes, because it is something. You have a lot of challenges when you're trying to do things. You have the people over here that say that, sure. And then you got the people over here who you looking for support from, but them was the same people that you was with in the first place. So you should not be looking for support from the people that you already knew. I mean, I could go on and on. Absolutely not. I look like when I first started, that was a mistake of my very own. Thinking that people
Ah,
I knew were gonna support me, which was hilarious. One night, something like the story came to you, something came to me and said, "Girl, are you kidding? You can't. You was already doing. Why are you waiting, girl? If you don't go somewhere, you know what
ah,
I mean. Like my conscience or the third eye or something was talking to me. Like, no, you come on now. You grown now. Act grown. You can't be doing that. But that's true. That is so very true, and I do thank you so very much. Tell my
ah,
viewers where they can find you. I know where to find you, but you tell them where
ah.
they can find you at.
Oh well, thank you. You've just been a blessing. Your spirit is you have a beautiful spirit. You can find me on Chistel, CHISTELL.com. Again, that's CHISTELL.com. Chistel.com. My books are an ebook and paperback. Amazon, Google, Apple Books, Kobo, Barnes and Noble. And if you don't see it on the shelves, I always tell people you can ask the clerk you want a copy of a book by Denise Turney, and they can get it for you because it's carried by the largest book distributors in the world.
Y'all
And
heard
thank you.
that? Yes. Y'all see her, right? She right here in the flesh, in the flesh. Miss Tony, thank you
Oh,
so
thank
very much
you.
for
Thank
coming.
you.
Yes, thank you for coming to the tea. I appreciate you. I always tell my viewers, and I mean my guests, I'm sorry, that I do not believe that, by no means. I believe in divine interventions and
Yes.
lasting relationships. And the COVID brought about good things. It brought about some bad things, but also some great things. I got to meet
Hmm.
wonderful people. I got to meet you. So
Oh,
it's a
bless you.
blessing. Absolutely. It's a blessing and a privilege. And I appreciate you so very much. And we're going to look forward to you coming back to the tea.
Oh,
And
well,
I'm going to
thank
be
you.
sending some words when I get through reading that book, because the book will be here in a couple days. So I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm so
Oh,
excited. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you guys, that was Miss Denise Turney. You can stick around with me for our final sip of tea. I always have a final sip of tea. I know you guys enjoyed her. I absolutely enjoyed her tonight, and I'm certainly hope that you learned something from her. My final sip of tea is there is no doubt that we are all created equal and free to express ourselves as well as we see fit. Life is a jumble and every day is a challenge, not a competition. The downside is failure is only something that might happen
mm,
or could happen. The upside is with consistency, success is something that will happen. Now, my question to you guys tonight is which side are you on? God bless you guys. And thank you so very much for joining me, your girl, Catrice, for tea with Miss Turney this evening. You guys have a good day, a great evening, and an even better tomorrow. And thank you so much for joining the Real Tea. As usual, reach one, teach one. God bless.